What is going on, traders? We got a lot to discuss in this video, but before we start, like, subscribe, comment your thoughts below. Let's get into the video. So in my last video, I told you guys about a potential relief bounce that we could see happen between today and tomorrow. And honestly, I thought we would get a little bit more upside today, and I definitely did not see the sell-off coming, but SMSCI earnings pretty much dropped the market, for lack of better words. And so right now, we are looking at the triple Qs for our time frame. You guys see it, I see it. We are looking at a head and shoulders pattern. We have our shoulder here, we have our head here, we have another shoulder here, and our neckline here. We broke our neckline and we retested the neckline, and now we are rejecting this neckline. Things look really, really bad. And I want to apologize to Discord members for not seeing this sooner. Okay. Definitely want to apologize for this. Okay. I'm not perfect, but you guys know the revenge is bittersweet. Okay, so you guys know that. Now, as far as how low we can go from here, okay, I will say there is a glimmer of hope. There's a slither of hope here. And if you're wondering what I'm talking about here, we do have potential for a double bottom to form at around 430 on the triple Qs. So right here, if we can head towards 430, which is right where the daily SMA is, I don't know if you guys can see this color because this is a very thin SMA, but right where this daily SMA here is, if we can create somewhat of a possible double bottom, and the reason why I say possible is double bottoms are not confirmed until you break the neckline. If we can head to 430, lowest I'm looking at is about 426, 425 and reject from down here and form a second bottom in this area, there's hope. There is hope. After that, we will want to see a break above 447, which will be our neckline, 448 if we want to be safe, and then we can definitely start to head higher and start filling these other gaps to the upside. That's what I'm counting on. Honestly, that's what I'm counting on right now. That's not me being a perma bull. It just makes sense for that to happen or potentially happen. Okay, no guarantees, no promises, or anything like that. It would just make sense for that to happen. And the reason why I say it makes sense for that to happen is when we're talking about strong, like very strong support and resistance, when we're talking about weekly, monthly supply and demand zones, usually in order to break those types of support and resistance levels, zones, whatever the case may be, whatever you're using, patterns are usually formed in order to break those. So, for example, here, this head and shoulders pattern, in order to break this daily SMA, if we start making a lower low, in order for us to make a lower low, we would need a major pattern like this, okay, in order to break down further, okay? So that's the slither of hope there. That's really all I have for you guys as far as hope. Now, what I will say is that we are continuing to make lower highs. We have a high here, lower high here, lower high here, and now we're looking at another potential lower high. And if we just so happen to break below 420, we are looking at a lower low. So things are looking really bad, okay, as far as the triple Qs go. And honestly, it gets worse when we get further along in the video. But first, let's talk about price targets. Okay, let's talk about price targets. So we're going to talk about the upside and the downside because again, our hope is if we're wanting to be bullish, is that a double bottom is formed down here. So let's talk about upside. In order for us to continue to the upside, we want to see 447 break, and then after that, you're looking at a move to 450. After 450, you're looking at a move towards this gap at around 440, 453. And I tell you guys all the time that gaps have very strong support and resistance. So I expect us to immediately reject this gap. If we do get up here to 453, 454 range, we reject, we start to mount this trend, and then we continue to head higher. And then at that point, the highest I'm looking at is about 460 if we do head higher. As far as downside goes, if we just so happen to break further down on the triple Qs, then we can head as low as about 400. All right. I know it sounds crazy, but think about it. If we break 420, 400 isn't too far away, if we're being honest here, especially if we break below this daily supply and demand zone. But it gets worse, guys. It really do. So we look at the NQ. NQ, we have us a bear flag. And you guys noticed that I erased pretty much everything that wasn't relevant anymore as far as the channels that we've been talking about for a long time and the further breakdown. Right now, we have us a bear flag. And usually, I wouldn't be too worried about a bear flag, but considering how this is going to sound sus, but how large the flagpole is leading into the bear flag, this looks terrible. This looks really, really scary. Okay, this looks very scary to me. Now, don't get it twisted. Like, I'm excited, and I will be more excited if this move doesn't happen right away at open. Okay, I will. I hope we get at least one more bounce at open, and then maybe Thursday when unemployment claims comes in, that's when we start seeing all this stuff play come into effect. So I'm really hoping that's the case, and we don't gap down or we drop immediately at open, because then I would be very, very sad that I missed out on that move. But regardless, we have us a bear flag on the NQ, and right now we're looking at the 2 hour time frame. And so, how do we determine how far we can go when it comes to bear flags? So, when it comes to bear flags, you measure the flag pole that's leading into the bear flag. So, this is how it would look. So, you measure from the highest point of the pole to the lowest point of the pole, and then you bring it down to the bottom of the bear flag or the break of the bear flag. We haven't broken below it yet, but once we break it, so let's assume that we are going to, I didn't mean to do that, but let's assume we break this bear flag right here, right? The lowest we can potentially go, and then let's straighten this out. Gonna be a little off. If this bear flag plays out, guys, we're looking at a move all the way to 16K on the NQ. Call me crazy. I've been called it plenty of times for my price targets, but if you've been here for a while, you know majority, if not all my price targets have hit or gotten really, really close. So 16K, if this plays out, is possible here. Not only that, but if we break below this, not only if we break below this bear flag, if we break below the daily SMA, what I would like to see is us break previous lows on NQ for me to really, really take that move to 16K serious, which is right here in this area, right here. All right. So 17K, 17, what is this? About 17,300, 17,200. If we break below that, things get really, really scary at that point. Okay. So even if we do break this bear flag, we still have the daily SMA in a way. All right. It doesn't necessarily mean we're going to immediately start to drop or anything. We still have the daily SMA in a way, and we still have these guys here, these bulls in this area here in the way as well. But wait, there's more. All right, there's more. ES. ES, another bear flag. And again, we measure the flagpole from the highest point to the lowest point. We drag it down, and boom, we're looking at a move to about 4,800. All right, it's more or less. Okay, we're looking at a move to 4,800. But once again, all right, once again, we are above the daily SMA. Bear flags are their strongest when we're in a downtrend. And we're in a downtrend, we're kind of in a downtrend, but as far as we're concerned, as long as we're above the daily SMA, we are still in a bullish trend. But bear flags are at their strongest point below daily SMAs. Take it or leave it. Okay. You don't have to believe me, but take it or leave it. So just because we break this doesn't necessarily mean we're going to head immediately to 4,800. But if we do give up this daily SMA, that 4,800 target is on the table. So we could do something as simple as this. We break through, we head to the daily SMA, bounce off 5K, which was a very, very strong psych level. And I don't think we're going to immediately break through that at all. Maybe we retest once again, head back to about 5,200, whatever the case may be. Maybe we head to 5,100, 5,130 range, possibly break further down, or we immediately start to recover up and start to get rid of all this illiquid area here. All right, because I imagine there's a lot of fair value gaps here. So that's what I'm looking at for the ES. As far as upside on the ES, I would like to see us get back above 5400. If we can get back above 5400, we're going to be very illiquid and we can start heading back to 5500, 5600 range, which will probably be close to previous highs. I'm not really counting on that happening in the near future. If anything, I think majority of August is going to be pretty bad. But that's just me, and I think we're going to start seeing a real recovery heading into September. So I think we looked at the cues. Let's look at the SPY. I'm not sure if we looked at the SPY, but we're going to look at it anyway. So I told you guys my price target on SPY is 504. I've told you guys this about a few videos ago. We headed all the way down after that video, actually, like immediately after that video, we headed all the way as low as 508. We didn't quite get to our target and it's still on the table. Okay, I haven't taken 504 off the table. 504 is right where this daily supply and demand zone is, and ironically, is right where the daily SMA is. Okay, well, the daily SMA is around 500, but between 504 and 500 is where my target is. Now, another glimmer of hope here. Another glimmer of hope is that SPY. I told you guys in the last video about an inverted hammer pattern and how bullish this pattern is. And granted, we may have gotten the exact move we wanted because most of the gains that we got during the day was given all back. We got us another inverted hammer pattern. So that's a good sign. That's a potentially good sign that we may see more upside tomorrow and then possibly give it all back once again. Okay. So that would be annoying, but again, we do have us an inverted hammer pattern, so there's potential for upside tomorrow, and then maybe unemployment claims comes in much higher than 4.3 somehow, and the market tanks all over again. So that's what I'm looking at as far as the SPY. I believe there was an inverted hammer pattern on the triple Qs as well. Yep. So I told you guys about this one in the last video, inverted hammer pattern, and now we're forming another one. So there's potential for upside once again tomorrow. I wouldn't I wouldn't put all my savings into it. I wouldn't count on it. I would take I tell you guys this for the past two videos to take any rally or any momentum to the upside with a grain of salt. All right? And I still stand by that. Okay? So this inverted hammer pattern here is in play and it is possible. And if it looks like the pattern, assume that it is until proven otherwise. So that's pretty much what I got for you guys as far as just how bad things are looking. I would say now if the SPY goes lower than 500, I'm not necessarily counting on it, but if that does happen, then we'll have to talk about it when we get there. I don't I can't say if I think it will happen or not, but I will say just be very, very, very careful. Let's talk about Bitcoin. So, Bitcoin, I told you guys about this head and shoulder or potential head and shoulders pattern, and it looks like if how can I put this? If the market is going to drop soon, we might form our other shoulder here. So we might do one of these moves, and this is the daily time frame, by the way. We might just form a much smaller shoulder here of around 58K and then reject. So that's an option. So either 58K or 62K is where we can form our other shoulder for Bitcoin, our right shoulder for Bitcoin. So be on the lookout for that. And then eventually we break out of this channel here. So one of my price targets for Bitcoin, I told you guys was 52K. We headed to 52K. We headed actually much lower than 52K when I put out that price target. And I told you guys my other target on Bitcoin is about 40. I said what, 42, 43K, somewhere around there. 40, low 40Ks. Okay. Um, and that's it, guys. I mean, that's really it. Just things across the board just do not look good. Do not look good. Like at all. All right. Our glimmer of hope, just to recap real quick, our hope is that we get somewhat on a triple Qs, we start forming a double bottom. The neckline is already potentially there. Let's actually get rid of this trend real quick. The neckline is already potentially there. We just need a double bottom. We're still above the daily SMA. So right here, we will have a bottom here and then potentially, I actually clicked the wrong one, potentially get another bottom here. And then we drop tomorrow, we head towards 430, we bounce off the daily SMA, we create a higher low, and then we break 447, and then we head higher and fill this next gap at around 456 range. So that's what I'm counting on. That's what I'm looking for heading into tomorrow. If we can get back in this range, then that is a very, very good sign. And that could invalidate this whole head and shoulders pattern. So that's your glimmer of hope. Your other glimmer of hope, guys, is if you're bullish in the market and if you are in bullish plays, your other glimmer of hope is the fact that we're above daily SMAs across the futures and the ETFs. Okay. As long as we stay above these daily SMAs, there is potential for, despite what patterns we're looking at, such as the bear flags and whatnot, there is potential for a higher low to be formed off the daily SMA, and then we head higher and start filling the rest of these gaps and get rid of a lot of these illiquid areas before potentially really heading much lower. Okay. So as long as we're above the daily SMA, things are still slightly bullish. Once we start getting below the daily SMA and actually start closing below these guys here, and I showed you this on the ES as well, we start closing below these really really bullish wicks across the board, then that's where things get scary. Okay, so that's really all I have for this video, guys. Hopefully, you guys got something out of it. My plans heading into tomorrow is to really just wait to see what the market does. As far as unemployment claims, one thing I will say, and if you don't know, let's actually, look at the news and see what's coming. So tomorrow we don't have really, we have a 10-year bond auction tomorrow. I imagine that's going to probably have an effect on the market, possibly. Um, but August 8th is where things get really interesting because unemployment claims from last week is what really dropped the market. And then we have a FOMC member speaking as well. I can't imagine unemployment claims being higher than last time, and that's usually how the market works. It gives out expectations, and then in order for if the market wants to something to benefit off of it, it'll put out expectations for an event such as earnings or whatever the case may be, and it gives and then the actual event when it happens puts out some unrealistic number and then after that unrealistic number is put out, once that event happens again, it's really hard to beat that unrealistic number. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes somewhat sense. So what I'm saying is that since unemployment claims came in so high last time, what are the odds of it being higher this time? So hopefully that makes sense. I feel like it was very bad in explaining that. Even with earnings, such as let's say Nvidia, for example, at some point, companies will keep putting out expectations, and they'll keep beating expectations to a certain point where they can't beat expectations anymore, and they have to lower their expectations. Okay, because at some point you just can't keep you can't keep you can't keep beating your expectations. It just doesn't happen. At some point, you end up missing on earnings, and I'm trying to apply the same mindset with unemployment claims or CPI, things of that nature. So hopefully I'm making sense there. Again, you guys know I'm not some news guru or anything like that. I'm not gonna act like I am. But overall, point in this video, things look bad. So be very careful, be cautious. I have a lot of plans for the rest of this week as far as how I'm going to trade and how I'm going to protect our Discord members. I'm already getting us set up for what's going to come. Other than that, that's all I have. Discord link is in the description below, guys. Website is below if you want text message alerts sent directly to your phone. Also, you get a free newsletter and a free ebook once you subscribe to our website. And that's all I have. Until the next video, traders, have a good one.